Today we will be talking about another important aspect of personality development, that is communication. Last time we spoke about communication, but within, that is self-talk. Today we will be talking about communication outside. Now, what is communication? Communication is basically giving your ideas or thoughts to somebody for the purpose of understanding. Matlab, when you say something, the other person should understand what you're trying to say. Otherwise, there is always miscommunication. That means I wanted to say something, but you understood something else, and then there was a big issue in our communication. So, it's important to learn how to communicate well. But to communicate well, first and foremost, you should have vocabulary. You should have some words. Now, problem happens is that most of us speak in Hindi at home. And when we are dealing with people, we are expected to be speaking in English. Now, what happens is that when somebody is asking you a question or when somebody is asking you something, first you understand it, then you translate it into Hindi for your mind, and then your mind gives you the answer in Hindi, and then you translate it into English. And so by the time you give the answer to somebody, you're fumbling for words because maybe you don't know the exact word of that particular Hindi word in English. Or maybe you are in the process of translating these words in your mind, you have lost out on your rate of speech. So either you're speaking very fast to make up the time or you're speaking very low. Now the problem is when you talk to people, sometimes we go both ways. We find either this way or that way and we go wrong. Either we over explain things, thinking maybe I'm not getting the right words and maybe this person is not understanding what I'm trying to say. And so you keep talking on and on and on and on. And on the other side says under communication. That means that you say something presuming that this person must have understood. So when it comes to communication, you have to find a balance. Now comes the question, how do I develop my communication? And I just told you that to develop your communication, you should have some words with you, some ready words with you. So if you look at communication, it's like a table which has 4 legs. And all 4 legs in communication play a very important role. Even if one leg is weak, the whole table will tumble. So what are these important 4 legs? They are reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So when you read, you are able to collect a lot of words. And because you have so much of words, you become great at writing. And when you're great at writing, because these are your thoughts, you're able to express them well. And certainly, these 3 are important, but another one is also not just you should be talking. You should also be listening to when people are talking to you. And that is where the communication will go up. So when it comes to reading, make it a habit. I know some of you may say I don't like reading, but this is something you will have to develop. I remember when I was writing my book, I used to find it so difficult. Every day I'll just write one paragraph and I'll start yawning. And then somebody told me, make it a habit to write 1 page every day diligently. And that's what I started doing. I started writing 1 page every day. And by the end of the year, my book was ready. So similarly, when it comes to reading, start with maybe half a chapter. Slowly you'll build it up to 1 chapter, slowly you'll build it up to 2 chapters, and you never know where it takes you. When it comes to English speaking, in school, we all learn grammar. We all learn how to write English. But because nobody encourages us to speak in English, so therefore, we actually don't get into the flow of speaking in English. So what should you do? Start with a simple book. I suggest if you're wanting to learn English, go and buy a very simple English book or English storybook written by Enid Blyton. She's a kids writer, so she writes children's books and very nice books. I'm sure if you ask your parents, they must have read it in their childhood. So Enid Blyton, my first English book which I read was Naughty Amelia Jane by Enid Blyton. And Naughty Amelia Jane is basically a story of a doll, and it's very, very interesting. And then I got interested. I went to more and more books of Enid Blyton, Famous Five, Famous Seven series. There's so many mysteries she has written. And you will slowly, slowly, slowly start learning or start getting attracted towards reading. Now I can read anything. You can see behind my back, I have a huge library. And when I start reading anything new, I always keep a pen with me and I keep underlining some important words. So, whatever word you've underlined, find the meaning and then see how you can use it in your vocabulary and use it the whole day you have learned it so that it becomes your muscle memory. And slowly and slowly and slowly, as you read, you become a good writer, a good speaker, and of course, listening in itself is another big thing to talk about. So in the next class, first I will be talking to you about communication, but without communication. So keep guessing what it is. And when it comes to listening skills, I will be taking it post that. So till I see you next, take care.